Hi, so I created this class for a weakened pelvic floor. If you have had a hysterectomy or a recent childbirth or an abdominal surgery, this is a practice that you can do that will help you to continue to move while protecting that and not putting too much work or stress on your core or your midsection. And as always, there are going to be lots of options to modify and all that kind of good stuff. So if you have props, I definitely recommend all of them. The bolster, 2 blocks, and a strap. If you have a blanket, that will work. If you want to go grab some pillows, that would be good. If you don't have a bolster, if you don't have a strap, I recommend a belt, a towel, anything that will help you reach your leg without having to compress your leg close to your belly. So go grab your props, whatever you have, and I will meet you on the mat. So as you can see, I have all my props here. I have my bolster, I have my blocks, and I have my strap. I have my blocks and my strap at the front of my mat, and I have my bolster at the back. But to start, I'm just gonna sit in the middle of my mat. I'm gonna find a comfortable seat. If that for you means sitting, you're putting your sit bones elevated on a block, then you can do that as well. You can bring your heels in. Just let your hands rest on your thighs. Close your eyes. Big inhale and sigh out and exhale. Imagine any kind of stress, tension, worries just floating away and leaving you in a space of comfort. If you notice a place of discomfort while you sit, look for a solution. What can you do? How can you make yourself, allow yourself to be a little more comfortable? Set that up. Now allow yourself to go inside of your body and just feel in the present moment. Notice if you're having thoughts before or after yoga practice thoughts. And just give yourself the gift of coming into right now. So when we're recovering, a lot of the times there's a lot of worry and stress, and rightly so. But in this moment, can we find those places of tension and grasping and holding and let go? We might feel very vulnerable in our abdomen and very nervous and very exposed. So check and see if there's any tension there, holding on or gripping, that maybe we can just let go. Nobody's judging you. Nobody's looking at your belly. You shouldn't be judging you. You're recovering. Closing your eyes and allowing your breath to just be. Bring your hands to your belly, maybe one to your upper belly above your belly button and one to your lower belly below your belly button. And start to allow the breath to go deep down into your belly. With each exhale, give your body a scan and see if there are any places where you're gripping or holding on where you can let go. And with each exhale, maybe you also let go of any worries, anxiety, or concern in this moment. Your current only thought is your body and your healing. One more big deep breath down into the belly and exhale it out. And rest your hands on the front of your knees. So instead of on the very top, we're going to slide our fingertips so they face the ground. And then you're just going to lift your chin up to the sky and then lower it down. We're going to move very slowly into a seated cat and cow. But we're just going to start with our neck. The weight of your head, pull it down, and then imagine elongating the front of your neck while your chin reaches up for the sky, from your chest bone all the way up to your chin. And then keep breathing Now this time on an inhale, when your chin lifts, I want you to start to draw your shoulders back and together. So we are just lifting the upper part of our thoracic spine, just above your heart. And now you're going to drop it down and you're going to broaden the space in between your shoulder blades. Now this is where you can feel your arms and your shoulders come forward. Your hips are not tilting, your abdomen and your core is not moving and it's not involved yet. You're just lifting the front part of your heart and then spacing out your shoulder blades to give the back part of your heart a little space. Drop that chin. Inhale, lift. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, draw them together, shoulders go down the back. Last time, coming forward. Now this time I want you to think about this full heart space. So between your boobs, between your chest, above your belly button. And I want you to imagine that coming forward. So this is where you start really checking in with your body. What feels good? It might just be micro movements, and micro movements turn into bigger movements eventually. So do your micro movements. Keep your spine and your chest rolling. Now you're thinking about that full thoracic spine, maybe the upper to mid back expanding out behind you, and inhaling, lifting forwards. Maybe pull your elbows back as though you're pulling them in towards your ribs to give this space all along here. If you have like a saying or a statement on your shirt, it really makes it easy for people to read it. And exhale. Now you can stay here with those micro movements, or if you feel comfortable and ready, you can start to add your hip tilt to it. So when you inhale and draw forward, you're gonna pull your hands into your knees, and you're gonna feel your hips tilting forward, and maybe your tailbone arching out a little. So you're getting a full spine. This is your cow, your seated cow. Now exhale, you're gonna tilt your hips the opposite direction, tucking your tailbone under, drawing the mid spine back and the heart space back and the chin down. Cat. Inhale, bringing it forward. Find your happy place in this. Everybody has different stages of recovery and everybody recovers differently. So these all include options. Like I always say, it's like a menu. Choose from the menu what you like to eat. I'm not going to make you eat what I like to eat. Last time. And then on an inhale, come to a neutral spine. I'm going to mirror you, so I'm going to do the opposite. I want you to take your left arm out next to you. I want you to now think about this right hip, this opposite hip, really anchoring into the ground. You're going to reach that right arm up and over, and you're going to start to walk these fingertips out. We're going to get a long side body stretch, but what I want you to feel is this rooted hip, so that we're not going over into the stretch like this. I want this hip to stay rooted, super glued to the ground. While these fingers reach their way out, and you exhale on this full body stretch. Now, you can stay right here, or if it feels good to you, you can close your shoulder, turn your heart towards the ground, look at your hand that's pressing into the ground to get a little stretch through the back side of your side body, and then inhale, open, twisting, open just a little bit to look and lift your heart towards the sky, still in a side stretch. Exhale, closing. Inhale, opening. Let's do one more. Reaching those fingertip to hip. So your right fingertips to your right hip is one long stretch. And then you can start to inch your fingers back towards your body, lowering this hand and starting to lift the other hand. Now we're lifting your left hand. Left hip is anchored into the ground as you start to tiptoe these right hand fingers away from your body and get that long side body stretch, anchoring that left hip to the ground. I had no words. You can stay here like before, but if you rotated in that last one, try rotating in this one and see how that feels. Exhaling, turning your heart towards the ground, reaching away from your hip. Inhaling, opening your heart towards the sky. Exhale, close. Inhale, open. One more time, both ways. Exhale. Inhale. And then you can draw yourself slowly back up. Now we're gonna do a 4-step side stretch to cat pose to side stretch. I'm gonna show you first, so watch me first and then we'll do it. We're gonna stretch over to the side just like we did. That's 1. Then we're gonna take this hand that's reaching over, right, your right hand, and it's gonna go on our knee. 2. Then we're gonna take this hand on the ground. It's gonna reach over to our other knee across our body. 3. And then we're gonna take this other hand out there. 4. And then we're gonna start all over. 1, 2, cross. 3, that's where you're really getting that good curve in your spine on that. You're gonna allow those shoulder blades to use your knees to really stretch that space. And if your abdomen is not ready for that, then you take out the pelvic tilt. You can get this upper spine without tilting this pelvis under. You can keep that even and parallel and get that stretch. All right, join me. Your left hand is gonna go out. You're gonna reach over with your right. Inhale, exhale, 2, exhale, 3, inhale, exhale, inhale, reach, one, 2, 3, 4, inhale, good. Now on this reach, bring both arms all the way up. Feel that space from fingertip to hip. Feel the ribs lifting away from your hips. Feel that space, allow that space for your belly. You can close your eyes and be in your body. You can open your eyes and look at all the things around you that you're grateful for, and then turn your palms out and gently float your hands down to the ground. All right, we're gonna get a little twist in, but I want to say a gentle twist because we want to be careful with everything that's going on. So it's up to you. So instead of just reaching all the way up and over, I'm just going to have you like a dial. Turn your hands on the ground until you feel that comfort. If this is your comfort space where you're at, let's say 12 and 6, we're going to use a clock later on this too. So imagine right here is 12, 1, 2, 3, all the way around your body. So your right hand is at 12, your left hand is at 6, maybe it's at 5. You decide where it wants to go. You decide. You can inch along. We're gonna go through this each side 3 times, and you might find that as you progress and do it a few times, it might get a little further into the twist. But first, lift with your heart. Then you find more of that twist. Inhale. Exhale, come back to center. Inhale, lift your heart. Shoulders are down. Thoughts are relaxed. Exhale, rotating to the other side. Starting at 6 and 12, if that's comfortable. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, maybe you look back over your shoulder. When we look back over our shoulder, that is just increasing the twist in our upper thoracic and our neck, that whole space right there. So that is not gonna, it shouldn't impact your lower spine and abdomen area. But if it does, you make sure you just bring your head back. And exhale, come back to center, twisting again, finding out where you are this time. Just notice, it might be the same, it might be different. You may want to back off after that first twist. This one will be a little shorter, come back to center, draw that circle around that clock to the other side. What I would like for you to maintain is a long spine. So if you find yourself curving to protect your core, come out of your spine a little. I mean, twist, not your spine. Don't come out of your spine. Come out of your twist a little. Sometimes I say things and I think, what? What did I just say? Just talking. Come back. 3rd time. So just notice without judgment. You learn when you notice without judgment. Don't judge yourself and be like, oh man, I had to scale down. That's fine. You're listening and you're learning more about your body. And so now you know, okay, don't go there yet. I'm here. Let's go the other side last time. Gentle twist. And come back to center. Now we're going to roll over onto our hands and knees, or however you feel comfortable getting there. Meet me on your hands and knees. So just stay here a second and just feel this. Feel your fingers nice and spread out. Feel the backs, feel your very fingertips, the backs of where your fingernails are pressing into the ground. I'm gonna say you can tuck your toes under, but you really don't need to. I don't think at this point. Check in, make sure your wrists are under your shoulders, knees are under hips. You've got some 90-degree angles happening here. I want you to take your right leg and I want you to extend it back behind you. My bolster is in the way, so I'm gonna slide it back. Just extend it and then tuck that toe under. I want you to just maybe rock back and forth. Give those back toes a little love and attention. You might feel a little stretch in the hip flexor, depending on what your activity has been since surgery or anything that you've been through in your abdomen lately. Been through, meaning childbirth or anything like that. All right, now from here, I want you to lift up that back straight leg. An inch or two is fine, or you're welcome to bring it parallel with your glute and your spine. So you have options. I just want you to bend it and straighten it about 3 times. Bend it and straighten it. And then lower the toes down. Now we're at that clock again. So I want you to imagine your leg is pointing back to 6 o'clock. Now I want you to move it to 5 o'clock, which is the corner of your mat. Now I want you to cross it over to 7 o'clock. So if you'll notice, my hips are staying very still. I'm not opening them up. I'm keeping them both equally pointed down. And I'm just getting some movement in my leg. Now if you want, you can slide it along the ground where your toes remain grazing the ground. Or you can start to lift it up off the ground and go from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. Now you might want to experiment with maybe going to 4 o'clock and then 7 o'clock. 4 o'clock. Maybe you stay with 5, that's up to you. Maybe you go to 3 o'clock. I don't know. It just depends on where you are in your recovery process and your abdomen. Just keep the movement going for your hips. You can add the wider leg swings or not. All right, now find a neutral 6 o'clock. If your toes aren't on the ground, place them on the ground. Lower your knee. And we're gonna extend the other leg. Extend it. And then just let that rock back and forth. Feel the stretch on the toes and the hip flexors. Now, if you're ready and you lifted it on the other side, let's lift it on this side. And just bend and straighten a few times. Keeping that hip closed so that the hip that is attached to your elevated leg, I want to make sure that it's even with this hip that's grounded to the ground and that it's not opening. So you want to make sure when you're bending your knee, your sole of your foot is facing the sky or the ceiling, as opposed to facing the side of the room or anywhere else. And after 3 of those, you can lower your toes back down to the ground. So now we're going to go from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And we're going to slide it back and forth. 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. And now it's up to you whether you want to go up to, it's not 6 o'clock, I said 5 o'clock and 6, I'm at 5 o'clock and 7. See, there goes those words. I don't know what I'm talking about. 5 o'clock. Now maybe you go to 8 o'clock. Maybe you go 5 o'clock. Maybe you're still going 7 o'clock, and that's okay. It's mostly important that you are listening to your body, because that is the whole point of what we are doing. There are lots of different levels, so you can come back and do this class many times and check your progression just by doing this 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock movement and feeling that. So it does involve a little bit of your obliques, your side core, but we can baby step our way there with micro movements, micro changes each time we do it. And then come back to a neutral 6, lower your toes, lower your knees. Now I'm gonna give you an option of child's pose here. This might or might not be accessible to you, but I want to give you an option. I'm gonna have a block here. I have it on like a medium setting. You can elevate it to the top setting if you want. This is gonna be for my head. I'm gonna grab this bolster friend of mine. And there's a couple ways this can go. So I'm gonna show you 2. I'm gonna put it behind me. Then I'm gonna find a place in between knees together and knees apart that's like a medium. So it does give my belly a little bit of space, but not so much that I go into a spinal like arching that's gonna lower it to the ground and give my front core a little too much space. So I do wanna protect it. Now I'm gonna come onto my elbows first, and I'm gonna put my forehead on this block. Now if you feel comfortable, you can start to extend your arms. What I wanna make sure is that you have a flat spine or maybe a slightly rounded spine, but I'm trying to stay away from this arch, this back arch, if you can see that. I wanna keep you out of a front extension, a front belly extension, any kind of back bend, and that would be a back bend. So that's what we're aiming for. You can use your elbows. I also think this is really comfortable. I did this earlier and I crossed my arms on top of my block and rested there. So take a moment to find a child's pose that might be accessible to you today. And if you don't find one accessible to you today, try to just let go of that frustration and let it go. And then just sit on your knees with your hands in your lap. It might not be today, but that doesn't mean it's never. And allow yourself to just breathe, exhaling stress, anxiety, tension, and just accepting vulnerability, healing, and positivity. One last breath. Coming up to your hands and knees, removing all these lovely props that have supported you and held you up and allowed you to rest and relax. Now we're gonna move into a supported side plank. So again, your discretion, your level, you make the judgment. So we're on our hands and knees. I want you to take, again, I'm gonna be your mirror. So I want you to take your right leg, your right shin, and turn it out sideways. It's gonna go off of your mat. Your right arm remains on your mat, your left leg is gonna go long, and your left arm is gonna go to the sky. Okay, so this is your supported side plank. If at any point this feels too exposed or open, try bringing that leg forward and maybe your palm forward a little bit until you're ready to have everything all in one line. Big inhale. Exhale. Imagine that space in between your shoulders, reaching out away from each other, creating more space in your heart space. Maybe you look up towards the ceiling or the sky. I have a lot of sun, so I'm closing my eyes. It's a beautiful day though. So options here. Obviously you can go into a full side plank if you feel good about that and ready for that. You can float your leg up. But if you're here in the supported plank, and if you are in a full plank, I'm gonna invite you to put your knee down if you brought it up, and then lift this leg. Lift that extended left leg. See how that feels. Now I'm gonna invite you to experiment with bending this knee. Now, if you'd like to reach back and grab your foot, if that's accessible, do that. Here's what I want to tell you as we do this. The point is not to get a back bend. The point is to get a hamstring, a quad stretch. So that means that our knee is not going back behind our hip. I'm going to turn sideways. So if I'm in a side plank and my leg is right out here, it's right in line with my body, and I'm going to bend this leg, my knee is not going back here. It is staying even with my hip. So I'm not getting a back bend, but a quad stretch. I'm bringing that heel towards my glute. In fact, you can pull your knee forward a little bit so that you protect that back bend. This is, again, this is involving a lot of balance. So you're really having to use your fingertips. This back foot is really helping you. If this foot is still here, it's gonna be a lot harder to balance. So this is a lovely kickstand. And we're just getting a little stretch and a little balance and a little funky pose out of this. You can look up at the sky, you can do whatever you want. And go ahead and release the strap if you're using one. Extend your leg, place it on the ground. Place both hands on the ground, come back to your hands and knees. Oh, thank you. And get your props and return to your child's pose. Your supported child's pose. I really like this one. I'm a big fan. So while you're there, mindfulness is being aware of the present moment. what's happening right now. So when we move through this kind of class, I want you to mindfully move. I love to close my eyes when I'm in a class like this. I love to close my eyes all the time when I'm in yoga because it gets me into my body and what actually feels good instead of looking and judging. So if you need to look and take a peek at me and be like, what is she doing? Then do that. But try coming back into your body so that you can mindfully make the choices about what feels best for you. What feels best in this moment. So mindfulness is no judgment. Just recognizing what is now and here and happening in your mind and in the moment right now without judgment. So notice it, get curious, and then just let it go. Okay, that's interesting. That did not work for me. Let me find out what does. I'm being really hard on myself. That's interesting. I need to let it go. Come on out of your child's pose. Now I'm going to face the other way just for sake of recording. But we are going to switch sides. You can stay facing your side. We just did our our left leg extended, so we're going to do our right. So on your hands and knees again. You're going to extend your right leg. Aww. You're going to turn that other leg back. You're going to open up to your side plank, wherever your side plank is. You can be here in this supported, there we go, side plank. You can extend both legs long into a traditional side plank, or you can even extend both legs and then elevate one leg. Just depends on where you are in your journey. You can look up towards the sky, towards your top hand. You can look down at the ground if that helps you balance. Your fingertips are working. Your fingertips help you find balance when you're on your hands. So make sure you engage your fingertips as well as the palm. Thumb, pointer, middle, ring, pinky, all fingers, they're all working. If your bottom leg is up with your other leg and you're in a traditional side plank, go ahead and lower your knee. And we are going to, my wrist is funky, so I'm gonna come up off my wrist. We are going to lift this leg. We're gonna lift our right leg. We're gonna find this flying supported side plank. So my leg currently is parallel with my hip. You are welcome to lower it. You're welcome to not lift it at all. But I'm gonna say bend your knee. If you use that strap and you need it on this side, grab your strap. Wrap it around those toes and that arch of that foot and pull that heel towards your glute. So we are balancing. We are stretching our quads and balancing. You can open your heart a little. Imagine those shoulder blades drawing together and squeezing and coming down your back just like before when we were in the seated cat and cow. Now think about your hip tilt. So your hips might be tilting back into that arch. If you tuck them in a little, it will protect that abdomen, that core, that pelvic region that can be very sensitive right now, and it can still be very sore and in recovery. And when you're ready, you can let go. Extend. Lowering back down to your hands and knees, grabbing those lovely props and meeting me in your child's pose. We're just going to take a few short breaths here this time. I want you to take a big inhale through your nose. I want you to exhale it real big through your mouth. Now do it one more time, and this time add some sound. I hope you made sound, because I did. It felt really good. All right, coming on up out of your child's pose, back onto your hands and knees. We are not going to get out of this practice without throwing in a couple of down dogs, but we're going to do it as gently as we can. So again, we're using our fingertips in our hands and our arm strength that we have to help us get up into downward facing dog. We're not going to use a lot of core today. We're going to tuck our toes under. We're going to push with our toes, and we're going to lift our hips up to the sky, keeping a bend in our knees. So why I want you to keep a bend in your knees, I do want you to protect your belly and your back from arching into this kind of downward facing dog. So allow the weight to be in your hands as much as in your feet so that it's not coming completely back and compressing. You're welcome to find any version of downward dog that you feel comfortable in. Drop your head, let your chin come to your chest. Shake it no, nod it yes. Deep breath in. Big sigh out. Where can you let go? What can you let go? Big breath in through your nose. Big sigh out through your mouth. All right, lower your knees. Now we're just gonna stay right here. We're gonna come into like a half child's pose where we're gonna curve our spine like a cat back, and we're gonna push back a little, dropping our chin. And then we're coming back up to our hands and knees, and then back up to downward dog. We're just gonna flow through this a couple of times. Exhale, inhale, lowering your knees. Exhale, half child's pose. Inhale, tabletop. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, tabletop. Exhale, half child's pose. I don't know if half child's pose is really a pose, but I just made it up. It felt good. Inhale, tabletop. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, tabletop. And exhale, walk your hands back to your knees and sit on your heels. Roll your shoulders back. We were on those hands and shoulders for a little bit, and they're probably overcompensating right now for our abdominal muscles. Go ahead and wiggle your fingers in and out. Roll your wrists around a little bit. We're done being on our hands and knees. We are moving onto our backs. So find a place, comfortable spot. Find a place. This is the place. Lie on your back. Bend your knees. Bottoms of your feet on the ground. So we're gonna slowly move into hip tilts. We're gonna do it microscopically. To start, you're welcome to grow it into what you are comfortable with. This is where you get really mindful. Get into your body. Feel with caution what feels good to you. Find that edge, right? Your edge today is much different than it was before surgery or before your pelvic floor was weakened by whatever experience that you had. So just remember that there is no judgment in this mindful movement. You're not judging yourself, and nobody is looking at you because you're not in a class, because you're at home taking my class. So lie on your back. So I want you to feel a natural curve. I'm going to keep my eyes closed because, hello, sunshine. There's a natural curve right here in your back. You can kind of place your hands under. Most people can. Under your lumbar spine. There we go. Lumbar spine. That's good. You want to feel that medium space. Now press the back of your head into the ground and lift your shoulders up and lower your shoulders. Fingertips are reaching for your toes. Palms of your hands are flat on the ground. Feet are parallel. Now I want you to tilt your pelvic floor so that your back of your lower back, your lumbar spine, presses into the ground. It is a little bit of core work, so just do it microscopically. And then on an inhale, I want you to tilt it the other way where you're pressing your tailbone into the ground and creating more of an arch in your lower spine. So that's giving you a little bit of space here. Feel it out. Figure out where you are today. Inhale. Exhale. This is that part of the cat and the cow that when we were seated, you had the option whether or not to include this pelvic tilt. Well, here you can do it in teeny tiny increments and start to work that pelvic floor and work that abdominal, like the abominable snowman. Today is not my day for words, y'all. Work that abdomen and that abdominal stretch. There it is. I blame quarantine. Just slowly do those tilts just for a second. Feel it out. You'll notice that when you press your tailbone in and give your back an arch, your arms will be able to reach closer towards your heels. But when you tilt it the other direction and press your lower spine into the floor, your arms will come back up towards your hips. Start playing with that. See where you can go. If you are feeling like rolling up into a bridge, roll up into a bridge. If you feel like you're there, then slowly, carefully, mindfully roll down and give yourself that little bit of an arch. So now, instead of just moving our cat and cow in our thoracic spine and our upper spine like we did, Now we're just doing a cat and cow in our lower spine and our lower belly and core and abdomen because we have a lot of control here. We can do teeny, teeny, tiny movements. So in Pilates, we make this diamond shape with our hands and we place it right on your pelvic floor, right? So your pointer fingers are mostly almost totally on your pubic bone, and then your thumbs are almost on your belly button. So as you do those tilts, you can feel it tilt. You can feel your pelvic floor tilt. Feel that whole space move when your hands move. And it might just be microscopic, like I said, but you know what? Everything starts with one small step. Awesome. Now go ahead and find a neutral and find your strap. We are going to put our strap over your foot. So however you want to get there, if you would like to turn your knee out, because this might not be comfortable, you can turn your knee like you're doing a figure 4. Grab that, put that strap around that toe, and then extend from there. Hello. The other leg is going to remain bent. So find your space, right? You could be here, you could have a little bend in your knee, whatever. None of that bothers me. What I want to know is, are you feeling it in your hamstring? I want you to feel it in your hamstring. So get to a place where you feel it in your hamstring and not in your core or your belly. So that might mean full extent farther down. That might mean bent. Your knee might want to come out to the side, away from your belly entirely, as though you were going into a happy baby, which we will do, just not yet. So getting that hamstring stretch. You can kind of wiggle your foot side to side, like by putting the blade of your foot towards the sky and then the ball of your foot towards the sky. You can really feel some inner and outer leg stretch just by doing that. You can take your leg out to the side if that feels comfortable. Your level, your extent, wherever you are today, without judgment, mindful movement. We're continuing to deeply breathe down into our belly. Accepting the vulnerability that comes with recovering from surgery, accepting that you are not where you were before, and knowing that this is impermanent. And then figure 4 your leg again. Take the strap off. You can flex that foot and leave that there a second and just let the knee just sink down, let gravity pull it away from your body. Just a gentle figure 4. And then place that bottom of that foot back on the ground, switching legs, and putting your strap or your belt or your towel or your blanket or whatever you got going on that other leg, and extending that leg. And noticing maybe there's a difference from side to side. If, like everybody else in the world, you have one leg that's tighter than the other, welcome to my club. It's just the way the human body is made. And kind of wiggling that foot back and forth, blade of the foot, ball of the foot, experimenting with where you feel a really good hamstring stretch. You could reach your arms up. I do recommend that you keep your shoulders on the ground so that once your shoulders get off, then you're starting to engage your core, and that's just not what we're trying to do today. So really keep your head, keep your shoulders on the ground. Everything gets to chill out except for your hamstring. So just the one thing is working. Thank you. Strap. Try to see what it feels like if you just go out to the side. Mindfully moving. If you find yourself shaking, you're welcome to do that if you want to, but you can draw back a little bit. We're letting our body recover and heal. So this is kind of a cross between like a recovery practice, a gentle practice, and a regular yoga practice. It's just kind of like it's a hybrid. All right, bringing it back to figure 4, taking your strap off, and just letting your knee drop out and away just for a moment. Allowing that hip to feel that rotation. Keeping this foot flexed across your thigh. And then uncrossing. So now we're going to move into, you're going to stay on your back, you're going to move into a half happy baby. Now, depending on where you are in your journey, thigh coming up towards your rib cage might not feel great, but it is coming to the outside of our rib cage. So I do encourage you to experiment with a certain level of this stretch. So you are familiar with Happy Baby. We usually grab our foot. I'm gonna have my strap on my foot just in case. So I just don't know, let's say this, and this leg is gonna stay bent. So I'm gonna start bringing it up, and my thigh is gonna come outside of my rib cage. I'm gonna try to see if facing this way helps. My knee is not coming towards my chest. My knee is coming towards my armpit. So it's giving all this belly space. Now, see how that feels? Your Happy Baby could be all the way up here. That might feel better for you today. Just see where it is. Microscopic increments. We're going to move in microscopic increments. Feel free to take this class as many times as you want. Now this foot is very flexed. Breathing. Think about your knee coming towards this space in your armpit as though it's going to fit right in there. And then take your strap off. If you need to roll over, sit up to switch sides, feel free. Put it on the other foot, coming back down onto your back. Now, all this up and down might be quite a lot, so feel free to turn on your side, use your hands, press into the ground to take any work out of your core and your abs. All right, back into our Happy Baby, our half Happy Baby as it were. When you're ready, you can roll back over, press yourself up, come out of your half Happy Baby. Whew. All right, so from here, we're gonna go back down on our back. Now, this is experimental with you and your core again, as all of this is. So you may want your block, so I would go ahead and just put that up by your head, and you might want your bolster, or not and. So you might want one or the other. We're gonna go into a reclined twist. Okay, so what that means is you might want to, let's say we're going to take our right leg across us first. So you bring your right knee up to where it's comfortable. Let's say at 90 degrees approximately. Now you're going to take that right knee and you're going to cross it over. Your right shoulder stays on the ground. So this might be good enough to have that there to support. It might not. You might want to lift it a little higher. You can combine things if you have a big pillow, but I don't want you to turn sideways into it like we're hugging a pillow. I want you to try your best to find a place where your shoulders are both on the ground and your knee is across your body. See how that feels. If that doesn't feel super awesome to you today, that's okay. That's A-okay. You can come out of it. You can come out of it and you can bend your knees and you can just drop your knees to the side with a little support. Your choice. Your back and your spine pressing in, protecting your belly, we're going to switch sides. So if you used a bolster or a block or a pillow or a rolled up blanket or a rolled up blanket around a block or a bolster and a blanket or everything and all the above, switch it to the other side. So we're bringing the other knee in and then we're starting to cross it over, leaving both shoulders on the ground. If that was not what you did on the other side and you did your knees instead, our knees and our feet are parallel, and we just let our knees sink. I have the bolster here to protect me from twisting too far into it. You're welcome to not use a bolster or to use something much thinner so you can have some happy place in the middle. I am cactusing my arms just because it feels really good to me to have like that heart space open, to take up more space. While we are protecting our pelvic floor, I want my heart to feel even more open. feels so good. I always hesitate to come out, but here we go. We're coming out of our twist. So we're gonna do one last thing. We are going to go into a supported fish pose. Now, fish pose is quite a bit of a back bend. It's quite a bit of a front heart and chest opener. And so that can lead into our belly space. So I'm gonna give you multiple options, and I want you to choose. If this works for you, then that's great. If you decide it's not for you, then feel free to go into an extra long shavasana and enjoy the crap out of it. So I'm gonna put my bolster long ways. I'm actually gonna start with a block under my bolster. So you can take your blankets and towels and create this kind of pie wedge, this little wedgie thing. I have, not a wedgie thing. Y'all, someone come fix my words today. This little wedge. I'm gonna put my hips right up against it. Alrighty? Now, if you don't wanna extend your legs, because that is a very open, vulnerable feeling, let's just keep them bent. Or you can put a little blanket underneath them to keep them bent without any effort. And then we're gonna start to lay ourselves back. So this is gonna have still a lot of head support. We're gonna let our arms and our elbows sink towards the ground. So again, a lot of heart opening. Now, options, here we go. You can stay right here. Option 1. Option 2, you can extend your legs. Option 3, you can remove the block with bent knees. Option 4, straight legs. And then of course, you can also just do it in a traditional supported fish pose. What the heck? You can do it in a traditional supported fish pose way and put this block underneath the middle of your back, right around your shoulder blades, and let your head drop back. Or you can put your head back on another block. Find your fish pose. See you there. As your heart is extra open right now, that is a place of love and compassion. That is also a place of anxiety and worries. Can you let the love outshine the anxiety and worries, so the anxiety and worries just start to roll out of your heart, down your arms, and drift off and evaporate into the sky, if you have any left, if you have any anxieties and worries left. No judgment against yourself. No comparing yourself to you 3 weeks ago, 12 weeks ago. Today you're here, you're doing it, you're making progress, you're moving forward. It might be in baby steps, but I have been there. Just keep going. It will come back, it will change, it will feel much better the more you do it. Feel free to come back to this class and try it and see how you progress and where your progress is made and what's going on. I would be very interested to hear. Now, with lots of caution coming up, tuck your chin to your chest. Bend your knees if they are straightened. Roll to your side the best you can. And remove all your props. And find your props where you want them for your shavasana. So if you didn't have anything under your knees, you may want something under your knees. If lying flat with flat legs is just too much vulnerability for your belly. Find your shavasana. I highly recommend putting something underneath your knees or underneath your upper thighs. Blocks, blankets, pillows, bolsters, everything. Whatever works for you. Find that comfort. Lie down. Palms at your side. Fingers curled. Press your head into the ground and bring your shoulders farther down your back. Draw them down and away from your ears and allow your neck all that space. Let your toes and your knees fall out naturally. without holding on to anything. Allow that love, compassion, and shining light in your heart to start to pervade all areas of your body, to start to come to all those places that need healing, and to let that resting moment be a just as important part as getting on your mat and moving your body. Mindfully allow your body to let go. Tell your body that it's okay. It's going to be okay, and it's going to heal, and you're going to move forward. I believe in that. And then just relax. Slowly begin to increase your breath, to deepen your breath, to send it down into your belly, deep down into your belly. Start to allow your fingers and toes to expand with that breath, to find some space, to reach that space along the bones of your arms and your legs. Gently bring your knees up to your chest, roll over onto your comfortable side, making a pillow out of your arms, rest your head on it. That's part of recovery and rebirth, this part of the pose, this part of coming out of Shavasana. Part of what you're doing is a rebirth of your body. It's a healing, it's a restart. Keeping your eyes closed, use your hands, press yourself all the way up to seated. Put one hand on your heart for compassion and one hand on your belly where it's healing. Take big, deep breaths into your body. It tells your body it's okay, and it's going to be okay. And remind yourself that micro movements, no matter how small it might feel to you, lead to large movements. Micro improvements lead to large improvements. Just keep going, mindfully moving, no judgment, one by one, allowing yourself to grow, heal, and get there. Thank you so much for taking care of yourself and for letting me help you with it. I am so grateful that I had the opportunity to do this class. I thank my friend for the inspiration. I'm so glad that you gave me such good advice. Thank you. I hope you all have a wonderful day and you find the positive in each and every day.